Hey everyone. Thanks for being here. This is Tammy Kissinger in Say Yes, Live Life Now, and I am going to be processing a few things. I have my drink behind me. So, um, I'll just say today I decided to put on lipstick. Um, had a great time in the last couple days at a retreat that we call a prayer summit for our local leaders, pastors, and it is right on the beach. It was just a great time in Cannon Beach, Oregon, is where we were at. But one thing that I was thinking is we had this late night conversation, and it kind of stemmed from just talking to someone that just recently had lost his wife. Would have been married 40 years coming up, and just what life looks like now and what dating looks like and possibilities. And so we just had some great conversations and it made me kind of process a little bit. So, have you ever heard that you're too picky? Have you ever heard um, that you need to give somebody a chance? Maybe, especially as a woman, that guy he just needs a woman in his life and that's going to make everything better as he is not as he's not walking in any integrity, has made poor choices all their life, and they want you to be the rescuer. And have you ever felt like you should be the rescuer? So I was just kind of thinking about things, and I had thought one of the questions there's a couple of things that I've thought about. One thing that I partnered with for years is my friend's 5-year-old son. Kids kind of go through those stages where they're asking, why aren't you married? They're kind of in that whole um, mommy and daddy are married and this person's married and you're not married. And so, um, he was at my house and mom was doing something else. And he said, well, why aren't you married? And I just kind of paused and, kind of was like, well, I don't, he goes, nobody ever wanted you. And that's what I felt like, right? I had been engaged before. That engagement was broken off, not really by my choosing, more by his. And I had, um, I dug around in the bargain barrel and still ended up, the one that wasn't chosen. And so I, that kind of put things into perspective for me because that's what I felt like. I felt like no one ever wanted me. And, it's a lie because there's been men in my life that have been interested. Maybe they weren't the quality that I would want. And we were having this conversation, which was funny because it's been, let's see, probably 7 years since I really dated anyone, and um and that was just kind of a short thing. Kind of a thought in more than anything. Probably more like 13 years since the guy before that, which was a train wreck. And I could go on and tell you the train wrecks in my life. And you don't need to hear all that, right? Because we all have our own stories. What I want you to hear is that um your picker might be broken. Let me just put it that way. My picker was broken. And it was broken because I listened to the lies of the things that everybody else said around me. That I was less valuable because I was single. That I was a half of a whole walking around waiting for my other half. Um, that marriage was the end all. That was the place that I was going to finally feel accepted. I was going to feel wanted. I was going to feel loved. And that's a lie. If you're not healthy and the other person's not healthy, it can be the loneliest place that you have ever been. And I have talked to countless married women and men that feel the same way. They feel trapped. Um, they don't know how to even start to rekindle the relationship they had in the beginning, or sometimes they don't even want to. Um, they've kind of went past the point where they even want to try anymore because they feel like they've tried and it's failed. And and I'm not here to talk about marriage. What I'm here thinking today is that one of the questions that came up is, do you ever get to the point, are you okay? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with being single? And I honestly had said yes, I am okay with that. And here's why. I said, it's funny, the glare on my glasses. I said, at this point in my life, I have so much peace in my home. I have no drama and I get to live this life. I get to choose how my life is, right? If my if my attitude's bad, that's on me. Like I need to correct it. There's not somebody else raining on my parade on a daily basis. And so I have a lot of that in my life. And the other thing is that um at this point I've learned that I'm not going to wait for somebody else to catch up. I'm not going to wait for somebody else to have the same desires, hopes, dreams as I have, or their relationship with the Lord that I have. So I'm not looking for somebody to rescue. I'm not looking for a project. I had said at this point in my life, if God, and I do believe in marriage, you learn things that you don't get to learn outside of marriage. You deal with things in your life that you don't get to, that you don't, it doesn't even come up when you're by yourself. Like there's things that maybe you have healing that needs to happen and you don't choose it because you don't have somebody bumping that spot, right? If you got married, then um, there would be things that would come up and you're like, I didn't even realize that I still needed healing from this. So I just said, yeah, I'm actually at the point where if it ever happened, if that was what God has for me, if this is what is going to make me grow and be a better person, and there's somebody else um, that we both make each other better and we get to run together, then yeah, I'm all for that. But I'm not waiting for that. I'm not on a daily basis just pining away, um, waiting for that moment for somebody to catch up with me or for us to meet, or it's just always a longing of my heart. And, like I said, grass isn't always greener on the other side, and God knows the longings of our heart. He does. Um, but I said, I have dreams. Like, I don't want to stop doing the things that I feel like God's called me to. For one thing, I love to do missions. And if somebody doesn't ever want to leave the country, then, like, I don't think that that's where I need to put my attention to. And so I just was kind of processing that. And I said, honestly, at this point, I feel like we should both be running after God and doing everything that He's called us to because there's no hindrances. And if our lives intersect and we feel like it's a good thing for both of us, then yeah, I believe that someone's out there for me. But until then, I'm not going to sit around and wait and pine away and think, oh, maybe this is year 2026 is a year that I'm actually going to meet my soulmate or I'm going to get married and my life is going to have meaning. My life already has meaning. And, you know, there's pros and cons to everything, right? There's pros and cons to being single, there's pros and cons to being married. But what I do know is that if you're not happy in the season that you're in, you're not going to be happy in another season. It really starts with you. And so I'm just giving you this today as I process the conversation that we had and and just kind of thinking like how far I've come. Just knowing that I'm not stopping. I'm not waiting. I'm not unhappy every time I go somewhere that's like a romantic setting which I've been with other people and they just can't even have fun because they're not with their other person. Um, and so I just want to say that if you're in this season of your life, if you're having any of these thoughts, that it's important to enjoy the moment that you're in. And I'm going to say again, and this is kind of this is my thing. Oh, and one other thing that I laughed. So after we had that conversation, we were at the beach walking around a gift shop, and I found this hat, and it says marriage material. And so I put it on, took a picture, and sent it to my friend. I'm not the person that had asked the question because I didn't have their phone number. And I just laughed because I was like, this is a conversation we had last night, marriage material. And it was the friend I sent it to that she's been single for I think 20 years now after a divorce. And so I just said, "Hey, here's our hat," and it's not that I'm not marriage material. I think that everybody could be marriage material when I see who is married and who's not. Um But sometimes I know I'm like, am I really like marriage material? So it's kind of funny to think. But on that note, I'm just gonna pray us out and I'm gonna remind you that today is your someday. So today can be the best day that you can have. You're never gonna have this day ever again. So make the best of it. So Lord, I just thank you for everybody that's listening right now. I thank you for everybody that has had hope deferred, everybody that has wanted and longed for marriage. And I just pray that you help them enjoy the season that they're in, that they wouldn't pine for the other season thinking that that was going to be, here goes Tilly, or you were thinking that that season is going to be all of a sudden a place of fulfillment. And so, Lord, I just release them from that lie that we believe that we're half of a whole, um, that we're insignificant as a single person. And we don't have to accept that lie because you have made us individually to be everything that we're called to be. And yes, marriage brings out other things in us, but I just thank you, Lord. I just thank you and I just release that from them, the lie that people put on us that um that we have to be in a relationship to be significant. So bless you. Have a great day and process this with the Lord. What are your thoughts on this? Put a comment in the chat. What are you thinking? So have a great day and thanks for listening.